This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City.
Let's pay close attention to what Mayor Adams has recently said about this. We call it an illegal immigration problem. They call it asylum seeking crisis. Now be mindful, asylum seeking is down nationwide. I repeat, asylum seeking is down nationwide. It is only prevalent in two areas at the moment, New York City and Chicago. Okay? So they are making this situation seemingly far worse than it has to be. And listen to the words Mayor Adam said, because I gave him some smoke on one of my videos. I put him up there with Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer, and I was showing you how illegal immigration was the Democratic reply to the white demographic decline. But it seems like Mayor Adams has come around to some degree, probably out of his love for NYC. He's a native there, I believe. And I see that New York swag with him. I see that with him. But I see that he can now see what they are trying to do to the city. And if that's not the reason why he has changed his tune and his tone, maybe it's because he is not going to be able to walk the streets as he once did. Once he was celebrated as an officer of New York City, a native of New York City. He got that Kenny the Jet Smith swag about him. He really does. He got that Kenny the Jet Smith swag about him. From the Houston Rock, he got that with him. We can see that. But we also know that you put party first generally, and that's the problem. You put Blue Devils before the city. But now he's waking up a little bit. And not only is he waking up, but he's speaking out some. Let's listen to what he says.
Destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
Now, Mayor Adams had made those comments around September 6th. And then shortly thereafter, on September 11th, here we have Miss Vice President Kamala Harris. They were visiting NYC for the memorial of the 9/11 memorial. And you see, a picture is truly worth 1,000 words. You see a bunch of smiling faces, pretending smiling faces. But one face is not pretending to smile. See that? One face is not pretending to smile. One face looks very worried and bothered and very concerned. You can see it. That's a grimace. That's one reporter explained. That's a grimace on his face. You see that? You see that right there? It's a pain on the young man's face. And it's a fake smile and a fake laugh on hers. But it's just polarized on hers. She does it often. She practices it. He's not used to it as much. He understood that he was going to have to compromise and do some things before taking the job, but he didn't know it was going to be anything to this magnitude. I am not a fan of Mayor Adams, but I can dissect the circumstance as to what is going on, and that's not an act he's putting on. I can believe he probably did not know how deep this devilish blue rabbit hole would go. And she came on 9/11 to remind him of his duties and to remind him of his responsibilities to the Democrats, to the Blue Devils. And if that means it's going to be at the expense of your city, then that is what it will be. See, the other mayor over in Chicago, that's what she's saying to Mayor Adams. He's playing good boy. We don't have a bunch of headlines about him saying how illegal immigration is going to destroy his city. He quietly goes about his business of gentrification, Mr. Adams. I suggest you follow suit if you want your political career to be salvaged after this muck and after this mire is done. He replied to her and said, well, what about my credibility as I walk these streets? I was once an esteemed officer, a public servant to the people, and now they are going to turn on me and you. She said, that's the price of politics. Of politics, I meant to say, Mr. Adams. He was talking back to her. He started talking back to her a little bit. And look at the stern look on her face. She wanted to say, no, nigga. I'm being straight real with y'all. Sorry, part of my language to be real with you. That's exactly the look on her face. I lied to you not. Look at her face. She wanted to say, no, nigga. It's going to go down how me and Joe say it's going to go down. You understand? Do you understand? It's going to go down the way me and Joe say, and the wicked left and the bankers and the companies and the corporations who fund us. It's going down like that. Why? He said, but why New York? Why New York? She said, this is not our fault. She said, you better thank Giuliani. It's more billionaires in New York City and millionaires in New York City than any part of the world. They are gentrifying the city. They need cheap labor. Thus, the illegal immigrants will do that job. Was looking really bad because I promised them not to be a tent city. Well, you got to make do. You got to make do. That's the conversation, family. Bar, you reaching? No, ma'am. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, sir. I'm just a person that's been following this for quite some time. That's the conversation right there between these two individuals as they discuss it. Let's be clear, Mayor Adams is not pro-black, but he is pro-New York. See that? And he truly, I believe it, that he wants the best for New York City. And that's why he spoke up and out against his Democratic Party and said what he said. And obviously it's not sitting well with his spirit. It's not sitting well with him, as it should not be. As it's not sitting well with most people, most Americans, most people who are in that area. Look at the protests.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other congressional Democrats are here in New York to address the city's asylum seeker crisis. They toured shelters housing migrants this morning, but then a press conference was abruptly cut short by protesters. Morgan McKay is live in Midtown with the details. Morgan.
Chris, chaos erupted here outside the Roosevelt Hotel, which is currently serving as a migrant intake center. 12 House Democrats were here to tour the site and weigh in on the migrant crisis. It's also the first time we've really seen such a large showing of House Democrats together on this issue. But we're going to show you this video here. Protesters shouting on bullhorns, chanting, "Go back to your country," drowning out the congressional leaders and forcing them to leave before they could answer some really important questions.
We're incredibly thrilled and excited to be here in order to make sure that we are joined by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, as well as several other members from across the United States.
What we saw there were children, families, people that want to work, people that are fleeing violence, people that are environmental disasters. We see so many stories, heartbreaking stories, manifest itself.
The American citizens and the people are speaking loud and clear. And this to show you as to what democracy do you refer to that we live in when the American people speak loud and clear on a particular topic, but due to politics and a pile of tricks, both parties' hands are tied on this. See, I admit the initiator of this is the Democratic Party, but there are many Republicans who are also down with this program as well. But out of pretension, those who are in the conservative Republican Party will act as if they are 100% against it. And I admit, the majority of the people, or the majority of the people who are in with this replacement, if you want to call it that, are the liberals. And there are liberals on both sides, but the liberals are more on the blue side, more on the left side, more on the Democratic side. And the people who are yelling this out right now, you can hear it in the background. You can hear it out in the background. They are protesting out in the background. Okay, let's recap. Let's do a quick timeline recap. We already discussed in around August, Mayor Adams began to speak out on the illegal immigration invasion and the potential harms which it can cause to the city of New York. Then we discussed around September 11th, he and Kamala Harris were having conversations about the same topic. And then he continued it down to the border of South America in October, where he took a trip down there trying to persuade the people, the immigrants, to not come to New York City. That was August, September, and October. And then finally in November, we began to see things turn left. Now we see the U.S. investigating whether Adams received illegal donations from Turkey. Did Mayor Adams now get some illegal coins and some illegal cheese from the country of Turkey to prompt up his fundraising campaign? And these charges began to surface in November, 1 month after his trip to the South American border, and then 2 months after Kamala Harris paid him that visit. And that was November. And then by the beginning of December, or near the last week of November, going into December, you see Mayor Adams, he was accused of SAing, I don't want to use that word, but you can see it right there, assaulting someone from 1993. Okay? Now, I'm not going to say anything. You can draw your own conclusion on this. I just gave you the timeline. I showed you what was going down. I told you that at one point in time, Mayor Adams was completely for the immigration, the illegal immigration invasion. Then he began to see the harms. He changed his tune. And as he began to change his tune and his tone, he did so publicly. But as he changed his tune and his tone publicly, you began to see accusations come forward. This is the continued story of Mayor Adams and the illegal immigration invasion. We will continue to pour juice on this topic.